super duper cheap.
Sure it is.
Except for when the volcano's erupting. That's when it's super duper cheap.
That's
and that's
right.
how you go get killed. You know, inhale gas glass and die. And laser sharks,
This is
lava
going to be
pits,
a cheery episode.
lava monsters.
From
idiots.
fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. Broadcasting from the churn, it's the three wonders of the podcasting world. That guy is Dr. Jim Jobin. I'm Nick Tangeman. There's Jacob, and it's time for some Pod Therapy.
We introduced him.
Oh, I don't like being introduced.
240 episodes
I didn't
in.
like
Feels
it.
weird.
Finally got him in there. Yeah, that's
Let's do it
nice.
again.
Yeah. Back to one. I'll do it this time.
Okay.
From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. That's Nick Tangeman, anonymous man over there who does knobs and dials, and I'm Jim. And now, broadcasting from the churn, I'm Jim. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
Nailed
It's
it.
weird to do the script backwards.
It
I
is.
don't know
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
And introducing Jacob the Audio Guy!
Yeah!
Just been life.
Boom!
I just love that he still does the lights. Like, he's had this jingle for like 150 episodes, and he always does the
I bet
Just
there are
for
people
us.
out there who believe that I don't actually change the lighting in the room
Yeah.
when I hit that jingle.
I'm glad that we've had guests confirm like that happens. Like, I'm glad that they realize this is all real. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pod Therapy.
Hello.
We are excited to have you with us and excited to do some questions and answers today. We always do extra time behind the scenes, which is available at patreon.com/therapy. In this week's extra cut, you can find out what each of us would do with $1 billion and who we would not sleep with for $1 billion. Spoiler alert.
That list
it's
is
a
short.
very short list. You'll also see how many wonders of the world, ancient, modern, and natural, that we're capable of identifying.
We did pretty well on that.
I think that's, I mean,
Yes. And also, I want somebody to calculate how many peppermint patties it would take for me to reach Bangkok, or wherever it is that you were trying to get me to go.
Myanmar.
That was probably pretty close.
Yeah.
So you assume that every peppermint patty is about 6 feet away from the last one? I assume.
I only need enough to get you on the plane.
Oh, well, that's
Once
different.
that door's closed.
I think you only
You're
need
not-
one. I think you need
Just
one.
keep walking
I think you
backwards.
need one drugged peppermint patty.
One Benadryl patty?
Yeah. I think we do
Oh,
this
no.
like B.A. Baracus on the A team.
They just
You
drug
drug him, and then he wakes up somewhere else.
Mad Dog, what the hell you do to me?
You know what? And if you don't get that reference, then you're too young to get that reference,
Yeah.
and you should go look it up.
And with $1 billion, I could do that. But no, where I thought you were going with that was one peppermint patty, like on a stick hanging in front of it.
That's kind of where I thought it was. That's exactly where I thought it was going to. So, happy to hear
What you doing,
do.
me?
Mad Dog. Oh, he has it. Yes.
You gotta get Jim on the plane.
I love it when a plan comes together. I love that you had that drop.
Can we just make that our intro music?
I think we can.
Fine with me.
I think the
I mean,
statute
there's a
of
copyright
limitations.
attorney somewhere that would say no, but
Nah.
I'm not going to say no.
Who's gonna stop
When do they
us?
expire?
I think that's the first drop I ever played on ICS.
Really?
I think the A-Team theme was the first drop I ever played.
that feels
For
right.
old school Ice Cream Social listeners.
Deep
Nice.
cut. So patreon.com/therapy to hear the rest of that nonsense. Always a good time over there. And thanks to all of you who support the show to make what we're about to do possible. We got some great questions here. First one, my father was exploited by a con artist.
Oh.
From Anonymous. Interesting. There's a lot of information that can go into this question, but
Okay.
I will do my best to keep it short and concise. I know y'all can't diagnose anything from this, but I'm hoping you can maybe help provide insight into potential things going on, or maybe provide me with a way to better digest or get grounded in it all, because I'm questioning my own sanity. I was 29 years old and living with my 62-year-old dad. Millennial problems. We'll call him Alan. He had just got a divorce from my mom a couple years prior. He met a woman, we'll call her Roxy, on a dating app, who was about 12 years younger than him. My dad is not wealthy, just a hard-working mechanic, making the average annual income with a small home. The first time I met Roxy, she ate dinner at our house. When I was cleaning my dish, I heard a voice that I didn't recognize. When I turned to look, I saw Roxy holding a handmade stuffed animal, we'll call it Sarah, and she was talking for it. Sarah, the stuffed animal, said, "Alan, those mashed potatoes were really yummy." And my dad said, "Thank you."
No, Alan said thank you.
Alan is her dad.
Oh.
I was just giving people subtext.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
You're great.
Yeah,
You
okay.
sit there and look pretty.
She's talking to the dad
Yeah.
via a stuffed animal.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm caught up.
I'm doing screenplay rules here.
All right.
Sarah, the stuffed animal, turns to me and then says, "This is weird as shit."
This is
I think we can all just agree real quick, right? Mid-letter. What?
I feel like I'm ready to diagnose. We don't usually diagnose here. I feel like I'm ready to
I feel
go
like
ahead
we
and
can just
diagnose.
steamroll this question real quick. So Sarah, the stuffed animal, then turns to me and says, "Your dad and I slept together."
Ah! Ah!
I did not see that coming.
Wait, like her dad screwed the puppet?
I think that's where we're going.
Gave it a puppet job?
So if you've ever wondered whether we read these letters before the show, the answer is no. So Sarah the animal says, "Your dad and I slept together last night." Then Roxy, the woman, says, "But he better be careful because Sarah's underage. She's only 13 years old."
Wow. Okay.
Roxy, the lady holding the
Roxy
puppet.
is the woman.
Now, just
Roxy
said
is the
that
new
last
girlfriend.
line.
Sarah is the puppet.
Yes.
Yes.
A giraffe? Was it a giraffe? Homemade animal. Oh, she didn't say it
Stuffed
was a giraffe.
animal.
I like that you assigned
I
it
don't know why, but I
giraffe.
felt like it's a giraffe. Sarah the giraffe.
Giraffes would say that, though.
I asked my
What
dad.
slutty giraffes.
I like to think of giraffes as terrible. I asked my dad about that later, and he said, "At my age, you take what you can get." She had 2 of these stuffed animals, Sarah, and we'll call the other one Brad. They are brother and sister and went with her everywhere. She changed their outfits every day, and one time, one got pink eye. She colored its eye with a pink highlighter. They also got my dad Father's Day gifts and cards. I try not to judge people. Maybe these...
I don't.
This is a pretty great question.
I'm actively judging.
Maybe these were her way of coping with something in life. But it was this and more that started to become more alarming to me.
I'll tell you what, she better be using them to cope with something.
Yeah.
That's my only reason that I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
maybe.
Maybe that I'll humanize this. I put a lock on my door after that and gave a key to my dad just in case he needed to get in my room. When I would come home, I would find that she talked him into unlocking my room so that they could play a prank on me and hang a stuffed animal or something from my ceiling fan. My dad told me that Roxy would tell him that she
That's
was...
the woman, right?
Yes,
Yes,
Roxy's
okay.
the girlfriend.
So
Sorry, no,
confused.
that's fair.
Yeah,
I actually
Yeah,
created a
that
character
was,
map.
That was a genuine question.
Here, let me get out a notepad. I'm going to get this right.
Thank you.
My
I need
dad
an
told me that
outline.
Roxy would tell him that she was jealous of me, that I was so pretty, that I had so much going for me in life, and it wasn't fair. She would also tell him I was using him and that I was a bad kid. A couple months into their dating, my dad fell ill to a blood infection and was hospitalized into the ICU. He would remain in the hospital system for the next year and a half
Ooh.
until he passed
Oh,
away.
no.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
My dad passed away from gross medical malpractice by the hospital's doctors and
So
nurses.
sorry.
Yikes. That's a horrific story for another day.
Yep.
When he was in the hospital, Roxy would threaten to not visit him unless he stopped talking to me. She would bring in photos of her with other men and show him, but tell him that she wanted to marry him right there as long as he stopped talking to me. At this point, it was pretty clear my dad was likely paralyzed for the rest of his life and would not live much longer. Early into the beginning of his hospitalization, I asked one of the doctors to test for cyanide poisoning or something. I felt mental, but it was weird that he wasn't getting better, that he was even in the hospital to begin with, and I just had an unsettling feeling. They said enough time had passed that even if he had been poisoned, it wouldn't show. I didn't tell my dad because I didn't want to stress him.
Okay.
Roxy would call his parents and tell them I didn't care about him, that I never visited him, and that I was using him. Somehow they believed her and not my dad, who told them she was wrong, and my grandparents stopped talking to me. There is more to that story, but trying to keep this short. My dad and I have a very good relationship, and he never wrote me off or questioned me. But this all definitely stressed him, as he didn't have many friends, and it was very lonely and scary being in the hospital. I'm an only child, so it was only me who was helping him and visiting him nearly every day. My mom lived in a different state and couldn't help much. Roxy would also pretend to be on point at the hospital. When a nurse or visitor or when my dad would wake up, she would perk up and start helping my dad, start fluffing his pillows or rubbing his feet. In the hallway, she would yell at me or my partner at the time. We broke up partly because of this. She would tell my partner that he was worthless, a user, dumb, etc., and she didn't even know him. He also lived in a different state, and this was her first time meeting him, and then immediately smile and pretend like nothing happened back in the hospital room. I never fought with her or brought the conflict to my dad. I also would come in to see her stuffed animals having sex, while the stuffed animal I gave my dad while he was in the hospital, with the stuffed animal I gave my dad while he was in the hospital. Phew. She would wrap it around her stuffed animals and tell me they were having sex. My mom's friend researched Roxy on the internet and found that she has had at least 5 other names, including different versions and spellings of her first name, and at least 3 husbands who have all died.
One of the legal spellings was Roxy with an I, but there was a heart over the I.
Absolutely.
That was the legal spelling.
With
Roxy
a heart.
with an I with a heart.
Had to have the heart on it. That was part of how it was actually charactered. We're not great investigators.
By the way, that was definitely one of the spellings of her name.
We're not,
100%.
Yeah.
I don't doubt a word of that.
that's-
We're not great investigators and haven't had an additional $500 to hire one.
Okay.
I have never gone to the police because I don't have any real evidence of anything. And to be honest, I still question whether I'm just blowing things out of proportion or not. Eventually, she stopped coming around, but she stayed in contact with my grandparents. She was at my dad's wake, put on by his friends, and I found out she was sleeping with one of Dad's good friends. I have no idea where she is now. So, that's the bullet points of it all. I'm hoping that your backgrounds in mental health can maybe shed some light on any of this, at least from what information I was able to provide. Thanks in advance for any feedback. Anonymous. Woohoo!
Okay.
Well, you might be in the running for Letter of the Year. Congratulations.
I mean, you might have stumped us.
Here's the
Wow, there's a lot
here's
to
the here's the absolute best part of this letter.
She gone.
Yes.
She
Yeah.
gone.
That is the yes.
that is a twist that I wasn't expecting.
that
Yeah,
she would
yeah, yeah,
disappear.
Yeah,
Yeah, like she would stick around and contest the house or something
right.
like that.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought for sure was
just,
coming.
Yeah, to just leave as mysteriously as she showed up is
Yeah. She's like the wind.
yeah.
Roxy is like the wind.
I mean, a very eccentric person to say the least. I mean, some of
I
that
think we're all ready to
behavior-
diagnose.
Yeah. You know what? Let's just go ahead and sink the
Jacob
putt.
is ready for his first diagnosis. We're going to do it right here on the air.
You ready? You ready? Here it comes.
Sink it.
Oh, she crazy.
Yeah. Also known as Z67.5. Oh, she crazy.
Oh, she crazy.
Yikes. Yeah, man. I mean, obviously we're not going to, clinical on this thing, but I mean, some of that behavior, I'm trying to think like, does it really fit much? This goes to, I think, why diagnostics are not, even, I mean, I think they're helpful. I get it. Every time I bring this up, people feel hurt because I think that a lot of people actually embrace the label and it's useful to them. And I respect that. I get that. But a lot of what we do can't always be labeled. Like a lot of this, I think we would just call that odd and eccentric behavior, interesting coping skills, like the personalities into the puppets and like bad humor, like attempts at humor. Clearly there was a lot of attempts at humor that were just really not good.
Attempts at humor that involves sexualizing someone's father.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
sexualizing
yeah.
puppets and like stuff like, and like you might think, well, what's the diagnosis for that? Socially awkward. Terrible at jokes. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, doesn't read the room well. That's a thing. Like, that's just a thing. Like, eccentric.
Also, like, there are people who don't read the room well. I just want to be clear about this. Like, there are plenty of people who don't read the room well.
Right.
This is an extreme version of that.
That's,
Yeah.
as far as it goes to
Yeah.
one side, man.
So we're not trying to normalize this behavior. But like, at the same time, like, shit, man, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. So there's not a formal diagnosis that I can think of. What are your thoughts?
No, I mean, to me, it seems like what we're looking at is kind of like the piece of the iceberg that's above the surface. Like we're getting just a small chunk
Right.
of it. And maybe if we actually got to meet this individual and
Right, yeah.
we would probably see a lot of things that connected all these pieces together.
Yeah.
But honestly, the very first thing that I kind of thought of when kind of hearing a lot of this stuff is just trauma.
Yeah,
just-
I mean, I'm
because
trying to
it's
think
almost
what
kinda
would
like-
cause that.
Well, I don't know what would cause it, but
Yeah.
I mean, just the ways that people will cope with trauma.
Right.
Some people have healthy ways of coping it. Some people have unhealthy. Some have just bizarre.
So she was
ways.
12 years younger than him. Roxy, so dad was 62. Roxy was minus 12,
Which is
50.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I'm really good at math. I think as I demonstrated in our discussion of how tax law applies to the billion-dollar
correct.
lottery,
Yeah. No,
I think I demonstrated.
You're kicking ass tonight.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Jim's
You know what?
open, firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to the trivia. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm coming in really hot. Coming in about peak game right now. Feel like this is when I'm just going to throw them off the backboard and slam them down.
So you're ready to bet.
You know what? Let's just go ahead and pivot. I think we're good.
What are we betting?
I think we're ready to pivot from the question. But I just think it's interesting. 50, 62. So not that out of the age range. Because I was going to think, is she
it's
is
not
like an
inappropriate.
infantile
Yeah.
regression? Is
Yeah.
it like, oh, stuffed animals and like I'm jealous of the daughter? Like, do I see myself as kind of the daughter figure? But 50 and 62 doesn't
Honestly,
seem
the
like
thing-
that would happen.
Yeah. So like, there's very eccentric people like that where they just have behaviors that to a lot of people just seem odd, bizarre. The thing that really sticks out to me more so is just the kind of playing two sides, just
Yeah.
trying to create an image.
Yeah.
I'm going to act this way when the nurses walk in the room,
Right.
and then I'm going to act a completely different way.
Yeah.
I'm going to act this way around his parents, but another way around you.
Yeah.
And just like kind of that, I think actually kind of catches me a little bit more than the whole stuffed animal thing.
Yeah, I mean, if I could think of anything that even gets close, I mean, I wonder about like, I mean, again, this is an educational
I'm
show.
not even going to try with a
Yeah,
diagnosis.
I don't even want to try to throw out too many. I mean, I'd be interested in no.
I mean, I'll tell you what I would do if she came back into your life in some way.
Yeah.
And that is call the police.
Yeah, I would too. I don't think she's not a.
If she were to pop back up, I would call the police. There might not be anything that you can really report other than, I want to start laying the groundwork for a formal restraining order.
Yeah, I'd just say, you know what, this person has
This woman needs some
been
help, and it's not your responsibility.
uncomfortable,
Definitely
and
not.
I felt threatened by her, and that's it. But I mean, she disappeared. So the
Yeah.
fact that
Yeah,
Roxy
hopefully
went away,
she stays disappeared.
yeah, it's just interesting that she almost seems to have some kind of interesting daughter complex there, where it's like I'm talking to the grandparents, I want to replace the daughter, I have these stuffed animals, I'm like obsessed with like this cutesy kind of thing, but then also like this blend of like doesn't read the room well, socially awkward, offbeat, poor comedy, eccentric,
Yeah.
just awkward, and so like I don't know, like those people exist,
Yeah,
and like
I mean-
there's not a diagnosis for that, they're just awkward AF. And it is what it is.
Jim has a horrible sense of humor too. That's not
Yeah.
anything that we need to be upset
It's
about.
non-clinical,
Right.
You know,
Right.
like I mean, what do you give for that? Tic Tacs, it's kind of all you could do. Red Bull and Tic Tacs, and and you just try to get.
What
through
works for you, Jim?
it.
He's
Let
still
me-
looking.
Hold on, let me show you with my stuffed animal. I brought Brenda the Billy Goat here, and she's gonna pole dance for you. We are okay. So thank you, Anonymous, for writing in. I'm sorry I can't diagnose on this one. We don't typically do a lot of that because we want to keep it an educational show and we don't want to weaponize mental health. But at the same time, hey, you're writing in about something very complex. I'm sorry that it affected your life. I'm
Yeah.
sorry that this is this.
It's also terrible that that's part of your last
Memories of your
experiences with your
father.
father.
Yeah.
and that
That's-
you have
that's tragic.
any shred of fear that your father was a victim of foul play. That's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing to watch a parent pass of natural causes.
It's already shitty.
62 is not that old. And assuming maybe he was 65 or something like that is not old. And so to see that go down and then to be very confused as to why, man, that is hard. And then to have this very weird person in your orbit who's been weird the whole time and is like pushing for marriage and like blackmailing him, like showing him other guys. Like it's all very strange. And I know that that's got to be so unsettling.
Yeah.
I wish there was something more to say about that, except I'm sorry that was your experience.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the best thing that could possibly happen has happened.
Yeah, she left.
She's gone.
Yeah.
And that's the best that we're probably going to get out of that.
Yeah.
But definitely sorry for your loss. That's
Thank you for
terrible.
writing in. It's a hell of a story, and I think you knew that we were going to react like to those details, which we did. We did not let down, but we're also with you, man. And so thanks for writing in and sharing that. Sorry to hear about your father, though.
Yep.
We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are talking about something that Jim can't see on the script because I didn't scroll down. Nurse struggling to cope with her job, or his job, or their job. Let's try again. When we come back,
The doctor was a woman.
Oh, you're listening to
It
Pod
was his
Therapy.
mother.
Today's episode is brought to you by
Sexist
Smitty
idiot.
Scoop, Jake Schneider, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Ben Stanley, Byler T, University Jeff, Tess Miller, and Myra. Would you like to sponsor a show? Become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy.
What are we betting, Jim? You felt good coming into it. What are we
You know
betting?
what? I'll pick up the tab. How about a bar tab on this
All
one?
right, bar tab. Bar tab it is.
Yeah, all right.
Okay. Well, I'm in on this. No, I'm not. I'm not in on this.
All right, me v. Jacob. That's
All
always
right.
fair.
All right. So here's.
Oh, you have the
here's-
answers there? You've already seen the answers?
Well, no. There's kind of a way I could play along
Okay.
with this. All right. So let's cut the music here for a
All
second,
right.
because this is. I actually have 6 questions today.
Oh, whoa.
We're gonna do 3 and 3.
3 and 3. I
Oh,
like it.
All right.
Here's what we're doing. Here's this. The theme is sports movies.
Okay.
Okay.
What I'm gonna do.
Oh, I don't know. I'm nervous now.
I feel like you have a huge advantage.
I am
on
going
this.
to. I am going to list off clues.
Okay.
Okay.
And we have to
Okay.
guess the movie.
Yes.
Oh, I like it. And you
Okay.
got 6 movies.
But once you buzz in,
You've used your guess.
you've used your guess.
And the other guy can
if
keep
you're
getting
wrong,
clues?
yes. If you're wrong,
Dangerous game.
and the clues become more obvious as we go.
yeah.
So once you got it wrong, you're
Yeah.
out.
Can I pick my buzz sound?
Sure. Okay, that sounds
That's
good.
what I want to use.
Buzz.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay, all right.
Should have said Woody.
So now these clues can be.
Actually.
They could be.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what? You've got that.
They could be. They could be just characters. They could be actors who played in the movie.
Okay.
They could just be subjects within the movie. They could be things that you
Okay.
see.
Anything
visually
affiliated with
in the movie.
All right.
Okay.
We hear you. It's
All
pretty
right.
abstract.
So are you playing along or no?
Well, the only way I play along is if I get through all 6 clues
Then you're allowed
without
to seal
you guys guessing.
it. Okay, you're the default. You're the house.
Yes.
All right. So
I'm the
you win
house.
if neither of us can do it.
Yes.
All right. Fair.
All right.
Okay.
So if either of us beats you, though, you're picking up the bar tab, right?
What?
I mean, that's not really exactly fair, but
Oh, then
All
neither
right.
of us can win this thing because he can't.
fine.
All right, it's Jim versus Jacob.
Okay, here we go. First clue. Baseball.
Okay.
Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Field of Dreams.
No.
Boy, I really hope the next clue is the title. I don't have anything.
Next clue.
Okay.
Charlie Sheen. Next clue.
Oh.
John Cusack. Next clue. Chicago White Sox. And last clue.
Got it.
1919 World Series.
You're counting down with your hands. All right, Major League.
No.
Black Sox.
Nick wins.
Yeah, it's Black Sox.
Nope.
Not Black
You're
Sox.
wrong twice.
Yeah, punish his ass. Take away the next point.
It is 8 men out.
Oh.
All right.
I haven't seen that.
Here we go.
Man, all right.
Next one.
Still zeros.
Here we go.
Jeez.
Danny Noonan.
Oh, shit.
Judge Smales. Ty Webb. Bushwood Country Club.
Caddyshack. Caddyshack.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's got to be in the form of a question.
God damn it!
Nick wins.
Damn, I should have read the fine
right.
print on the entry. Shit, that's on me.
Third one.
You
Third
got
one.
it just a hair.
Did I get
before
it? Was it Caddyshack?
No, you got it.
Yay!
It was
I would
good.
argue you didn't buzz in.
I blah, 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 blah. I don't know how this works.
All right. Third one.
Shout answers.
I'm going back to saying buzz. My button takes
right.
too long.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you were fiddling with your button for a while.
Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I can't find it. All right. Third one. Cycling hat. Billy Hoyle. Wesley Snipes. Arguably prejudice.
Jim Jobin.
Hustling. Basketball.
White men can't jump.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah! Oh, it was weirdly racist.
Okay.
I could picture it in my head. I could not think of the name.
Woody Harrelson. When you think of athlete, you
Yeah.
think Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
All right. So the score is 2 to
Two.
1 to 0.
Zero.
All right.
Yay, Jim.
All right.
Was
cool.
that the third one?
That was it.
That was
Oh.
it.
We got 3 more when we come back.
Yep.
Man, if you were thinking Jim's going to come out of that trivia on top because he's got hot hands today, you would be right, my man. Oh, Jobin throws it off the glass and smashes it down. Oh,
There's a long way to go yet.
yeah, I think I'm feeling good about my lead. Nurse struggling to cope with a job from Anonymous. Anonymous. Huh?
Anonymous.
Anonymous. Dun dun anonymous. Anonymous. A bit of background about me. I'm a mid-30s male. Oh, there you go. See? Yeah. Glad we fixed that. Fix that in post.
Me.
A bit of background about me. I'm a mid-30s male who is 7 years sober from alcohol and drug addiction.
Great.
Awesome. I was lucky enough to have an incredible support structure around me and was able to boot addiction without any therapy. I transitioned into my new role as an ICU nurse in the early stages of the pandemic. By and large, I love my new job, but there have been some serious challenges. Due to the nursing shortage, it's not uncommon for our staff to be stretched pretty thin, to the point of it being dangerous to both staff and patients. I have my doubts that this will change, and certainly not anytime soon. I've rarely had to deal with depression, and when I have, it's almost entirely situational. When the situation resolves, the depression resolves with it. Because of this, the only real coping mechanism I ever developed was alcohol and drug use. I'd rather not utilize those, if you can imagine. My challenge now is that due to situations at my job, I've developed some significant depression, and as I do need to continue to pay my bills, I can't just not work. I've tried to exercise with very limited success. Talking it out with my support structure just leaves me more acutely aware of how bad the situation is. They are also mostly in medicine, so my thoughts are just echoed. And until I complete my bachelor's, I would find it difficult to transfer to another position. I'm currently in the process of finding a therapist. My question is, are there any other decent coping strategies, particularly in the face of all this? Broadly, gestures at the state of the world. Thanks, guys. Just starting listening to the podcast and thoroughly enjoying your backlog. Thanks,
Awesome.
Anonymous.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Anonymous.
Anonymous.
You know, I have this thought every once in a while, like if I were to do it over again, nursing.
Oh, yeah. Nursing.
But then this part comes up too, which
It's pretty rough
it is
out
a
there.
stressful
It
job.
is pretty
Yeah.
rough. Yeah.
So I don't know as if I'd do well in that environment.
Yeah, the shortage has been really bad, man. And like a lot of them just really struggling. And like I think that this is also really hard because we relate to this. Like we've both been at levels of care where the lack of staff was dangerous to the patients and to the entire program. And that's a very weird feeling. It's weird for a lot of reasons. I think one, you just naturally are like, boy, I really want the patients to get what they came for, right? And so like that's obviously first on your mind. Second, I think you look around at yourself and your colleagues and you think, we're holding this together on goodwill and passion. And like those are limited resources. Like we can't just do this infinitely.
It is amazingly stressful when you're doing any job, and especially a job as important as nursing, I would assume. When you're just going along and you're barely keeping up.
Right.
And you know full well that all it's going to take is one or two catastrophes happening somewhere down the line and you're fucked.
Well, and also you're holding it together. And sometimes I get really frustrated at management, right? Because you're like, because they're like, come on, guys, hold it together. It's like, no, you guys have failed to properly staff and adequately do what we. But then the third thing, especially in healthcare and like ICU nursing, dude, there are regulations. It is quite strict. And at some point, you're defrauding insurances or you're violating law or CMS standards. Centers for Medicaid Services. So like that, there's some really high stakes here. That's really hard to go through.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, okay, so first off, you've decided that drugs and alcohol are not going to be a good coping mechanism.
That's a win.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
Is a win.
That is
good call.
And that is never going to be a good option for you to go back to.
You're right, by the way.
Yes.
So we're definitely in agreement with that. I like the fact that you've tried exercise. I think, and again, I'm going to get on my soapbox.
Did you get my last name suggestion?
What was it?
I texted it to you.
Yeah, I know. I saw it. I don't remember it.
All right, you want to hear my name suggestion for Nick's fitness thing? Tangible fitness. Tangible.
Oh, no, I get it.
I'm pointing to Nick. Do you see where I'm pointing?
Yeah.
I'm pointing at Nick.
I get it.
Tangible. But I'm going to spell it Tange, a bull. Tangible, right? You guys,
Yeah, it's like the
guys,
Oneaters.
Right.
why am I not getting
Oneaters.
thunderous
It's like the
applause?
Oneaters.
I deserved thunderous standing ovation. I am
Yeah.
disappointed in both of you.
Yeah.
No,
That's obviously the winner.
I'm still in favor. If it's between that and Crazy Nick's Crazy Fitness.
All right, look, that's a close second. But mine has the pun power, you know? Just anyway.
So I like the fact that you've tried the exercise, and I would encourage you to continue to do it, even if it's not anything that is like really intense work at the gym. Just going out for walks, doing something like that. Anything that's going to get your heart rate going a little bit and kind of get you prepped for the day, I think is going to be beneficial. So I definitely stick with that. Some other coping strategies. Honestly, a lot of people have done well with things like meditation. I don't know if that's something you've ever tried to do before, or anything that's going to kind of has that calming effect. That would be another thing that maybe I would suggest or give a shot to.
Did you talk about any hobbies or anything like that?
No, but I thought about that too.
Yeah.
Like, just having something where you can go and do something different and meet a whole different group of people that aren't doing your same
Kind of the same
profession.
idea with the meditation, just something to kind of ground you.
Yes. Yeah. Try pickleball.
There you go.
Everybody is talking about pickleball.
Okay.
Why did everybody get together and
pickleball's
vote
awesome.
that this is cool?
Pickleball's amazing.
Pickleball's great.
Why do you both
I
just
don't know.
suddenly
Okay,
know
no,
about pickleball?
So but you're right. It's really weird because we played this in high school.
Yeah.
Pickleball?
We
Yes.
played pickleball. We had it for like 2 months in PE in high school. It
All right,
was
what
so
is
much fun.
pickleball? Let's start with that.
It's a wooden pad. Well,
It's
now there's like
baseball.
composite. No.
It's wiffle ball?
It's tennis. It's more like tennis.
There are two different ones.
Yeah.
Is there one also called
There's
pickleball
like
with
wiffle
baseball?
ball. Yeah, there's like a wiffle ball kind of.
No, because there
version
was
of it.
one that we played. Because I know pickleball, the tennis one.
Yeah.
It's
because
called cricket.
My across the street neighbors have a pickleball tennis court set up in their
Yes.
backyard. Like they poured concrete and everything. They have the whole thing. But then we played. I thought it was called pickleball in junior high or high school in PE, which was like baseball with a squishy ball. And so you still use a hard bat, but you just can't hit it that far.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you didn't have to wear gloves or
Isn't
anything like that.
squash?
No.
No, it's a different thing.
No.
That's
So
in like a racquetball court.
pickleball is like tennis, but it became really popular just recently.
Yeah.
Again, out of nowhere. But it's really easy to pick up because like tennis takes a lot of skill.
Right.
Because you can easily just hit the ball for a mile out of the court. So it's
Right.
hard to hit it
Control.
hard and level.
So pickleball, you can just kind of whack
Pickleball, it doesn't require as much skill. Like you can pick it up pretty easily. So Laura and I have paddles and we'll go play
Ah,
and stuff
that's
every once
really
in a while.
cool.
And there's leagues and stuff that you can, and it's so much fun. But
Ah.
anything that like that where you can just kind of get involved and it's going to get you a little bit of exercise, but also you get to meet people who aren't in your profession.
Yeah.
And so that'll be really
That's
cool.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially in healthcare.
Meeting people outside of the profession is a lot. It's more than you think.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. So, writer, Anana Nurse, compassion fatigue is like a big danger in healthcare professions. I think that's something we've talked about in the past. During the pandemic, we had a lot of healthcare people writing in and just talking about the burnout, and just talking about not really having the staff, trying to hold the ends together. So, I mean, we're with you. You're not alone in this. The gallows humor, the dark humor, I think for a lot of us gets us through. That's kind of a hallmark, especially of intensive care, is sort of like this dark, like graveyard humor. But, you need it because it like takes the edge off of the things that are scaring you. I like your suggestion of working out. I think also like exercise or meditation. So you did mention in here you're looking for a therapist. Obviously, that's the gold bell. Like we hear that and we're like, great, we're going to leave you alone on that. That's wonderful that you're looking for it. I wonder what you meant whenever you said that you're trying to leave out options like alcohol and drugs, just because I want to make sure that we're not accidentally lumping in the medicines, right? Because if we're dealing with depression at work, I want to make sure we're leaving on the table proper medicines. And I know that you said you didn't do therapy for addiction recovery. It doesn't sound like you did much in the rooms either. But by all standards of how we think of addiction recovery, proper medicine does not violate the terms of use of what we think of as sobriety, right? So if you're going to a psychiatrist or your primary doc and talking to them about things like antidepressants, that's fair game. That doesn't violate any kind of addiction problem, and I don't think you're going to find any complication with that. I just want to encourage you, put that on the list because, hey, look, situational depression feels like the only answers are the things around you, right? But it's situational, it's personal, it's cognitive, like taking on and thinking about the way we have perspective and how we're thinking about the problem itself, which is what you and your therapist are going to work on. But it's also biochemical. And so I just want to make sure you're aware of that option because that would be really important. But man, this is a tough one, because that situation's not going to change. And like, you can't leave the job. I think the writer was very careful to tell us, look, I can't just quit. I'm trying to find a therapist, trying to cope in the meantime.
And I think one thing, we've talked about this before too, like for people who are in really stressful jobs that see some difficult stuff, can be very traumatic over time. And one of the best things to do is to kind of have regular debriefings. And kind of talk about it with people. So not to really process necessarily, but just if you talk about it, you put it into a narrative, and it's kind of your way of being able to your brain's way of filing it away someplace. So something to think about too.
And I don't know what the thing is, but I would suggest trying to find a thing that reminds you why you're doing it in the first place.
Yeah, and escaping as often as you can. And when you're short-staffed in ICU, it is so intense. I mean, those are long days. There's very high regulations, very high intensity. Getting those opportunities where you're just escaping, getting into some kind of, like you said, pickleball, shooting pool. Like for a long time, that was my escape. When we were at Dual Success, that was like the way I got out of that. Because when I took your job, that was a 24-hour job. Like it never ended.
No. And
there was always a crisis. This is the highest acuity, of the 4-square table we were talking about the other day. It was quadrant 4 or whatever. It's the highest possible acuity. It was very difficult. But that was my escape. I'd go shoot pool. I was in a league. I could think about other things. I'd get excited about it. I had something that had nothing to do with that life.
Yep. And something you can look forward to.
Gotta have that. That's the mental escape. But Ryder, I'm glad you're on the job. It makes me feel safer about hospitals, knowing there's people like you that are there doing it. The short staff continues to be a real problem. And, I'm rooting for all of you out there in nursing and in healthcare. Thank you for putting in the extra hours, for getting it done. And we stick together, and just make sure that whenever you're applying for different therapists and you're out there looking, don't keep a secret what you do. For me, my clinic is designed to always have an open door, so I never turn people away. But I will high priority anybody in the medical field. So if I have doctors, nurses, dentists, doesn't matter, whatever they do in medicine, if they contact me and they go, hey, look, can you open up late hours? Can you open up weekends or whatever? I'll do it for them. And so don't keep it a secret because your colleagues in mental health are always ready to support you. You will not be disappointed. I think you'll find that we're ready to open up the door and make it possible. So don't keep that a secret. All right, great questions. We're going to take a quick break for me to dunk on these fools. And when we come back, we're going to talk about struggling with self-harm. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Awful confident. Today's episode is brought to you by Smitty Scoop, Jake Schneider, Carolyn Alberts, Kevin Chamberlain, Ben Stanley, Byler T, University Jeff, Tess Miller, and Myra. Would you like to sponsor the show? Become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy.
That's it. I'm just going to eat for free tonight. All right. Let's go.
All right. We good? Here we go.
Let's hit them.
Dolphins. Ed O'Neill.
Ace Ventura.
No.
Fuck.
Not a sports movie, but.
Oh, it's not?
Okay.
Finkel is Einstein or whatever.
All right.
Weinstein. I don't know.
Western
Einhorn.
University.
That was it.
Bobby Knight. Shaq.
What?
Wait, what?
Nick Nolte.
Oh, I had an idea, but that idea is out the door.
Nick Nolte just ruins everything.
I mean, Shaq killed me on that.
4, 3.
I don't even have a guess.
1.
Blue Chips.
Oh, I don't think I ever saw that.
Nick Nolte and Shaq.
Yep.
You know what we should play one day?
Penny Hardaway was in that movie.
Oh, Penny Hardaway.
If you had just said, were Nick Nolte and Shaquille O'Neal ever in a movie together? I just would have said no.
Yeah.
I would have gotten that question wrong.
We should do a 6 Degrees to Kevin Bacon challenge.
All right. All right.
That would be a
Here's
fun one.
So it's 2-2 to
The best
0.
I can
Oh,
do
you
is-
and I have 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jacob's
The
getting
best I can do
smoked.
is tie now.
Yeah. All right. Here we
This
go.
is the category that you said I had the advantage
I
in,
really
too.
thought you were going to.
I did. I'm doing it as well as I thought I would.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm about performing even.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
here we
I
go.
thought would happen.
United States National Film Registry.
Huh.
1954 championship. Hickory.
Buzz. The name of the movie just flew out. Hoosiers.
Yes.
Oh,
He's on the board.
What's Hickory from?
Hickory was the name of the town.
Yeah.
Oh,
So the next guesses were Dennis Hopper, Indiana high school basketball.
I wouldn't get any of that.
All right. Last one.
All right.
Yankee bad guys. Lupus.
Huh?
Lupus.
Lupus.
Tanner Boyle.
Dude, what?
Buttermaker. Chico's bail bonds.
Buzz. Oh wait, is it that one? Oh shit! Now I'm conflicted. Major League.
No.
Okay.
How many clues did you give?
There's one more.
I don't even remember the other 5, so I really hope this one's helpful.
Little League.
Yeah. Fuck. It was my other one.
They might be, or not. They might be Giants. The Little Giants.
No.
No. Bad News Bears.
Bad News Bears.
Damn.
It was a Major League or Bad News Bears, and I picked the wrong
Yep.
one.
How many do you have now?
The Yankees were the bad guys. I had 3. You got 2. He's got 1.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
We should be all tied up. I'm so mad that we're not tied up. Weren't the
Dang.
Yankees the bad guys in Major League too? Or in Major
yes.
League as well?
Yes.
I feel like it
Yes,
should
they were.
always be the Yankees in
Yeah.
every sports movie.
I thought you'd get it when I said Buttermaker.
I haven't seen that movie in 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
Man, so we all lost. You won,
That's correct. Yes.
Nick won.
but he lost the most,
I
right?
did lose the most.
He is the biggest loser.
Yay! I'll take it. Jim gets a layup.
That's it.
And he walks off the court with his head held
There
high.
you go.
Struggling with
Oh, I'm so
self-
mad I didn't get that last one. I was over here. I was like, it's Major League or Bad News Bears, and I picked the wrong one.
Yeah.
I haven't. It's been enough years for both of them that I haven't.
I've
seen
never
them.
seen any. Well, I've seen Major League, and I've seen Major League 2.
Yeah.
Those are great movies. I've never seen any of these other ones. Bad News Bears. I've seen Hoosiers in the sense that I remember being in a room in which Hoosiers was playing on TV.
I watched
And that
Hoosiers
was it.
during COVID. I rewatched Hoosiers for the first time since I was a child during
Yeah,
COVID.
I did too.
I
Yeah.
can't
It holds
think of
up.
a situation
that's a
in which
great
I would
movie.
want
Yeah.
to watch.
great
Oh no, it holds up. It's
It's a
great
good movie?
Oh
Yes.
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 Really?
Yeah.
Gene Hackman,
Gene
man.
Hackman's
It's
the
like young
coach.
Gene Hackman and
Wow.
Dustin Hoff. Yeah, I mean it's a great movie.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I mean it's up there. Like it's on that list of greatest sports movies ever.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, wow. I've
Yeah,
never
you should.
seen
Oh, no,
that.
you
Hoosiers
should
is
definitely
great.
watch it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. It's worth a watch.
Yep.
All right. Gene Hackman and Dustin Hoffman?
Hopper.
No,
Hopper.
Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper. Sorry, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I can name exactly 2 other movies with Dennis Hopper.
Is one of them
Speed?
Waterworld?
Oh, and Speed.
Okay.
The other one is Waterworld, and then Mario Brothers
Oh, I didn't.
with John Leguizamo
Nope.
and Bob Hope,
Yeah.
or not Bob Hope. Was
Bob-
Hoshman? Is that his name? Hosh?
Nope. Bob Hope.
Bob Hope.
Bob Hope was in Super Mario
Bob
Brothers.
Hope as Luigi.
Yep.
He was Mario, you idiot. John Leguizamo was Luigi.
Nick, you ignorant slut.
Dennis Hopper was Bowser. And I liked it. Everybody shit all over that movie. It was a really good
No,
movie.
we know your taste in movies is terrible.
That's gold. All right.
It's hot garbage.
No, oh, gosh.
I would rather watch hot garbage than have to watch your movie
If there was
recommendations.
one recurring theme on the show that doesn't make any sense, it's that there's any criticism of my movie choices. Like both
That's
are
what doesn't make
fantastic.
sense to you.
No, the other stuff I'm legitimately not good at geography. But no, the other thing, Battlefield Earth is a good movie.
Okay, show of hands.
It's not a joke.
Hold on, show of hands. Raise your hand if you were the one who brought up Battlefield Earth.
Me, I did. It's a great movie.
No one forced you to bring up Battlefield Earth.
It's a fantastic movie, as is Mario Brothers with Bob Hoshman. Is it Hoshman?
With Bob Hope.
I feel like Nick and I don't have to say anything.
Is
here.
it Hoshman?
I feel like
Yeah.
you're doing all the
Bob-
work for us.
Yeah.
Bob Hosh?
Yeah, at this point, we're just piling on.
Yeah. I mean, like, your taste in
Bosh?
movies is horrific.
Man, what is that dude's name? He was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't
He's the
know.
main guy from Who Framed Roger
I
Rabbit.
don't think I ever saw the movie.
The
He was
rabbit was the main
also-
guy in Who
Yeah,
Framed Roger
You're not
Rabbit.
wrong. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not wrong. I think it's Bob Hosh. And he was also in Enemy at the Gates. Oh, man. Did you guys ever see that?
Oh,
With
that
Jude
guy.
Law?
I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah, I think his name's Bob Hosh. Was Ed O'Neill the bad guy in Enemy at the Gates? I feel like it was Ed O'Neill. Oh, man, these are all good movies. Jim's movie reviews. Don't read them, but just listen.
Bob Hoskins.
Oh, come on, man. I was so close.
Yes, I agree.
Bob Hope. It's almost there.
Definitely not Bob Hope.
All right, a slight left at
Should
Bob
have
Hope.
been.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have watched it.
Yeah. Bob Hope is Mario.
Honestly, Bob Newhart would have been.
Oh,
fine, too.
Bob Newhart is Mario. Oh, that would have been awesome.
All of these are things that I would have watched.
Oh, man. I'd have got an Oscar. All right. Struggling with Self-Harm by Ellie. Hi, guys. I found the show a couple months ago and have been hooked ever since. I'm going to start by saying I'm really nervous to be writing this, and if you can't answer the question, that's okay. For some background information, I'm a 24-year-old female. I've struggled with depression and anxiety since my teens. I started self-harming in middle school, and it had been my greatest coping skill. I spent the better part of my 16th year alive in inpatient hospitals for suicidal ideation and multiple attempts. After leaving the hospital, I hooked up with some of the other teens I met there and ended up starting to use drugs. I dropped out of high school and started using pretty heavily until some court stuff landed me in a long-term treatment facility until I was 18. I was pressed into going to Bible college and working in ministry at a young age and have much trauma from that experience. I moved back to my hometown at 21 years old and immediately got back into drinking. I relapsed a couple of times and was going down the path again until I got pregnant with my daughter. She had been my greatest blessing, and she honestly saved my life. I've been clean now for coming up on 2 years. My question and struggle now is that I have no coping skills. I've tried dozens of CBT techniques with no luck. I can never seem to get into meditation, and because of my history with addiction and my terrible memory, I'm not on any medications. I've been in therapy now for a year because I had some pretty rough postpartum depression, and that had been going well, but now we seem to be running out of things to talk about, and I've processed a lot in my past in rehab and therapy prior. My whole life, I had at least always had something to help me feel better: cutting, drugs, alcohol, sex, or smoking. Now I've quit smoking and using drugs for my daughter, and I rarely drink anymore because I won't be around her when I'm now sober. My boyfriend and father of my child.
When he's not sober.
Yeah, that's it.
That's got to be what that. That's
when
got to
I'm
be a
not
typo.
sober. Thank
Yeah,
you. My boyfriend and father of my child has an addiction to pornography, is on probation, and in treatment for child pornography. So that is one of the main stressors I have in my life right now. Side note, he has been in treatment for 7 years, and we have mainly safety plans in place to make sure him and my daughter are always safe together. All this leads back to my cutting. As weird as it sounds, I love everything about it. I've been doing it for 10 plus years on and off, and I know what to use, how to clean up, and how to hide it. It's become a routine for me, and I like that. I talked to my therapist about how I want to start back with it because it's a quick and easy way to make me feel better, but she skipped over the topic until I did bring it up. Even then, when I asked her why is it bad, she said it just freaks people out and it could get infected, so don't do it. To wrap this letter up, I would like some advice on 1, is cutting a bad way to manage my depression or anxiety? Or is it just the stigma about it? 2, if it is bad, can you guys recommend some different coping skills I could try? Thank you guys in advance for any advice you can give me. It means a lot. Sincerely, Ellie. P.S. Hi, Jacob.
Hi. Hi, Ellie. Thanks for writing.
It's a good finish. I like that. P.S. Hi, Jacob.
I feel so seen.
Yeah, I know. Everybody always does that. They always write in, hey, by the way, hey, Jacob. It's a really good letter.
It is.
It is. It's wonderful.
So the thing with the coping skills, so let's start there. As far as with addiction, none of that surprises me. That's pretty standard. That's kind of normal. Because if you think about it, those teenage years are really important for us developmentally
Yeah.
because that's the time when we start becoming an adult and we start having adult problems, which force us to develop coping skills. So the problem with drugs and alcohol, as far as use as a coping skill, isn't that they don't work. It's actually that they work really well, or at least temporarily, not over the long term, but they do work. They work so well that it puts us in a position where we don't develop any other coping skills.
Right.
Right? It kind of becomes, when we talk about the proverbial toolbox, like that's the only tool in it. It's the multi-tool because it works for everything. But then we get to that point where that tool doesn't work anymore. And so we take it away and now we're left with an empty toolbox. This has been, it's a very common thing for all of the clients that I've worked with over the last 18 years of doing substance abuse treatment. Is you're kind of left with like a blank slate. So you kind of have to start over now. And we have to start learning coping skills the same way that we would learn coping skills if we were a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we kind of used to joke about it all the time. And like some of the residential programs that I've worked in, and the clients would even make this joke too, is they'd call their place, you know, whatever organization they were at, they would call blank junior high.
Okay.
They would make that joke because it's just kind of like everybody there is in junior high. And well, mentally and emotionally, they kind of are, because that's kind of where the coping skills stop. So you're kind of at that age still where you kind of have to learn to develop some of these new coping skills.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's get into the cutting issue. Is it bad? Is this a bad way to manage my depression and anxiety?
Mm.
And I guess my first thought to that would be, is it a long-term solution?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if we just ignore the stigma part about it, I mean, how long is this going to be a viable solution for you to continue doing this?
Right.
You know,
I mean, it sounds like she believes that she can do it indefinitely.
yeah. And I would guess that's probably the part where I'd kind of push back on that. Like, do you really foresee that you're going to continue to do this indefinitely without there being any kind of problem? I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but that would be something to think about. There are obviously some issues with the cutting as far as just safety. So that's a big part of it too. And I know that you said that you're safe the way that you do it, and that you sterilize and all of that stuff.
Man, you guys have more experience with this line of logic than I do. That line of logic makes me think of a lot of people I've known that were on a lot of heavy drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I do it safely.
Right.
I that tickles something in my head that I don't like.
No. And it is uncomfortable. It's
Yeah.
definitely uncomfortable. It doesn't really, I'm not comfortable with it. Even if you do put precautions in place so that, you can control the bleeding and all that stuff, like accidents still happen. That's why they're called accidents.
Accidents happen. I mean, if you're coping with something that is big, if you're coping with the death of a loved one or something along those lines, are you cutting more? Are you cutting deeper? Are you doing more harm? I have a lot of questions.
Yeah. And here's the other thing too, is we don't want to just, I want to kind of change the perspective of how we're addressing this too, because like if we're saying, is it okay if this coping skill works for me?
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay if I just continue to use it? Well, we're kind of limiting ourselves to just that coping skill, right? And we're not looking beyond that into other things. It's kind of like if I'm, in a desert and I'm like dying of thirst, will this Diet Mountain Dew help me?
Right.
Yes, of course. But if I'm not in the desert,
Right.
is this the best thing? No,
Right.
water would be better. Water's really what I need.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, is this a effective coping skill? Yeah, maybe if you're making that argument, but why limit ourselves to that being the coping skill when
Right.
you can have other coping skills that don't have the risk and don't have the negative effects of it?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. So, gosh, you're asking some really good questions here. And I guess the first thing I want to start with is just appreciating what you've already overcome and telling you, reading about somebody who was able to get healthy from addiction, going through the journey that you've been through and got herself into therapy, has done so much positive and gotten, I think a lot of ground covered. And I just want to admire that. You were in rehabs and programs for suicidal attempts and ideation as a child. And that is a lot to go through. And a lot of times those programs themselves are very draining, sometimes traumatic. Like you said, you got caught up with the kids that were from some of those programs and got into more madness. You've been court ordered. You have already done so much. And I'm glad to hear that. When you talk about feeling like you're hitting the end of your coping skills, I appreciate the way you're wording that. I think that all human beings find that there isn't necessarily a way to solve for the angst that we experience, whether that's the emotion of depression or the feeling of fear or the discomfort of reality, especially like Nick said, whenever we began coping with drugs and alcohol at a really young age, we didn't develop fully some of those portions of the brain that just endure, and are just resilient. And so it can feel itchy and it can feel unbearable. This is where I would want you to pivot to things like mindfulness and like something. Now, you mentioned meditation doesn't work for you. Mindfulness is a little bit different. That's not so much clearing your brain. It's more analyzing. It's more this intentional consideration of what you're feeling, what's caused it, being mindful and aware of it in an accepting kind of way, which I think increases people's resilience. So I just want to acknowledge that. I do think that matters. I want to plug a couple of things while we're on this topic of self-harm. So does it matter to therapists? Yes. And one of the things that actually changed in the DSM-5 TR is that we are now separately diagnosing non-suicidal self-harm, which is what this behavior is. And so it's something your therapist is probably mentioning, there is tracking, and it's something that all therapists out there, and if you're a student, intern, or colleague, just be aware, if you're not already, I hope you're training on the DSM-5 TR, this is now something that you separately diagnose in your coding. And so just make sure that you're noting that, because it is really important. We want to track this better. If you, writer, or anybody else is struggling with self-harm, a couple of quick plugs. 1-800-DON'T-CUT, DONTCUT, 1-800-DON'T-CUT, selfinjury.com. Really good places to round up some resources. So when I have people that are dealing with this, whenever they're self-harming and they say, what do you think about this, Jim? I don't mean to kill myself. I'm expert at this. Do you think that there's something about this that's useful? The first thing I try to do is discuss some of the biomechanics of why this is actually a soothing behavior. It's not just the ritual and the physicality of this doing that we are with our hands. It's that we're actually causing injury, and what we're doing in that access is we're asking the body to experience a physical note of pain, which translates emotional, invisible, intangible pain into something real and physical. That's what's happening when we're creating damage. But then there's another piece of this, which is that the brain tends to deploy kind of an anesthesia whenever we experience pain. So we have the rush, the initial sensation of pain, and then we feel basically a biological anesthesia agent that's deployed in our brain and body to soothe and comfort as our body tries to heal that pain or mask it. And that's part of it. So we're essentially like touching our own brain pharmacy to make things come out of us. And we cannot, I don't want to use the word addicted to that, but we can become dependent upon that as a form of medication. So when the writer's talking about this just being quick and easy, there's some people listening to that going, boy, I don't relate to that at all. I don't understand how that could be a thing. It is biological. And so there is something that's happening when your body is injured. It has reactions to that are designed to soothe suffering and soothe pain, physical and mental and emotional, so you can continue to survive in the wild. That's part of what's happening here. When we give people alternatives to self-harm exercises, and I've talked about this on the show before, I have an entire list of it, but we talk about lots of different ideas, emotional ideas, but also physical ideas. I'm going to read off some of them. I'm actually holding the list in my hand. I pulled it up on my phone while Nick was sharing his answer. But things that we explain you could do. Alternatives to self-harm that still do manipulate some of that pain sensation and soothing sensation out of the brain. Ice. Experiencing something drastically cold. Putting your hand on ice or putting your hand in the freezer, getting a bucket of ice water or a cold food and just holding it or squeezing ice in the palm of your hand. Sharp sensations like eating a lemon can also trigger that, or eating a pepper, something hot. Peppers and heat and cayenne and stuff like that actually does trigger a pain reaction, and so that can be part of it too. It could also just be the physical sensations, tearing cloth, taking out a knife and cutting through cardboard or paper, saving aluminum cans from recycling. crunching those or cutting them open. If you have access to something like a punching bag or gathering sticks and cracking sticks or whittling sticks with a knife, again, it allows you to hold the knife, it allows you to slice with the knife, but you're doing something different, kinetically interacting with an object instead. Those are all options. Cold shower, of course, ripping up newspapers or phone books, all things that are very kinetic. Getting clay and using clay to hold, to manipulate, smashing things, building clay models and then breaking them down, smashing them again. Taking eggs and throwing them into the shower or into the bathtub and cracking them in your hands or breaking them against something. For many people, that can be an interesting substitute. So those are all kind of kinetic options that are in this very long list I have of lots of different things. Those were all things that are very physical, but there's other alternatives in here too. And I don't want to recommend those because clearly you really want, advice that matches exactly what you're writing about. But writer, I guess for us, we're going to look at this and say, look, cutting is, like Nick said, is it an alternative in the long list of things? Yeah. Is it better than other things? Yeah. That doesn't mean it's the best thing we can do. And if we have time and we can access resources, my challenge to you writers to really exhaustively try everything. If you download a list of alternatives to self-harm, selfinjury.com, 1-800-DON'T-CUT, you can get a hold of that stuff. My challenge to you would be really prep a lot of the items on that list. Prep 10 things on that list and really try every single one of them and really give yourself to that process. There is a very careful intentionality to those who cut. They're not just being reckless with it. They're not just, not thinking about it. They are very fixated, focused, and careful when they're doing it. I would want you to bring that same high frame rate brain power to these physical suggestions in the alternatives list because that's the only way they're going to work. You have to really soak into that moment, feel the object, feel the physicality, feel the cold, let the nerves move into that object. That's going to be what gives you that sensation that ultimately, hopefully, is something as an alternative to a self-harm technique.
Well, and she says, okay, so she's been in therapy for a year now, and says that things are going well, but we seem to be running out of things to talk about. So I think this would probably be a good thing to kind of talk about and dive into with your therapist. I mean, if you're running out of stuff to talk about, I think there's a lot here.
Writer
that we
did
can
mention that therapist seems avoidant of it.
Yeah.
And like brought it up finally and then said, well, you shouldn't do it because it freaks people out and or it could get infected. And I get it. Therapist doesn't seem to have a deep bench of knowledge about this. And you might want to say, can we learn together? What we should do about this.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to really be frank with your therapist. And that's fair, by the way. And quick PSA to everybody. Therapists have a finite amount of training and knowledge, right? We haven't studied everything about everything. But we don't like to abandon people just because you're touching an issue that we haven't formally trained on. We have enough basic information to build something in improv a solution with you.
Yeah.
It's okay to come to us and say, hey, if this isn't something you feel like you have a deep bench of knowledge on, could we learn together about it? Because you are an expert, and I trust your judgment and research abilities better than my own. Could I ask you to feed me some information or feed me some more ideas about this? And you know what? Most therapists will hear that, even though none of us like to be given homework, at our professional job. But I think most of us would hear that and go, yeah, you know what? I can round up better things for you. I don't know a lot about it, but I'll do some extra thinking about it and bring you some more, especially with self-harm. I think that's something, by the way, students, interns, and colleagues, you need to have a deep bench on this. I would expect every single one of you to have a file on your computer, printed in your office if you're meeting in person, where you have safety contracts, safety plans, alternative to self-harms, all ready to go. And I would also prefer you to have a how to help a friends and family with depression paperwork that you could hand out to people to give to family members or friends. That would also be a good alternative to have too. Great question.
Very good. Yeah.
Really good one. And again, congratulations on all you've overcome. You're really doing a great job. Let's keep reaching for better things. I don't want you to settle into the rut of something that you've left behind. I want you to reach for higher than that.
Yeah, I and that's kind of where I'm at too. Like you've done it already. Okay, great. Now let's continue to push yourself You've made great progress thus far.
Yeah.
Let's not settle where you're at. Let's
Yeah.
keep going
Yeah.
and just push yourself to try some new things.
I mean,
Yeah.
you've already made so much progress. You know that you can do the work. You know what it takes to do it, and you know how to do it. So just keep doing what you already know how to do. I mean,
Yep.
and I don't mean staying in the same rut that you're already in, but just continue on making that progress, and because you know that you can do it.
Yep. P.S. Hi, Jacob.
Hello.
Hello. All right, we are at the end of our show. This show is sponsored by all the folks at patreon.com/therapy. And I want to take a quick second because we got a really lovely letter that was sent to us. I posted it on our social media, but I just want to take a second to read it out loud because I just thought, man, that is such a nice thing. And it was a shout out to all the folks who sponsor the show. I'm stalling for time because I cannot get our Twitter open to pull this up, but here it is. Okay, great. So this was brought to us.
You're doing great.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. So this is a letter that was submitted to us. We posted it on our social media, but it says, I got life coached. Hi, guys. First, I want to start off with a huge thank you for doing this podcast. I love it, and it has helped me so much. Also, I sent in 2 questions, and they both got answered. One question was pretty sensitive, and your treatment and response to it was very helpful, sensitive, and respectful. Not only that,
That doesn't sound like
that
us
doesn't
at
sound
all.
like us at all. Not
Different
only
show,
that,
different show.
in that same episode, someone else asked a question that was very close to another struggle I had in life, and your help on that was also great. For my second question, I got life coached. I think that means the jingle got played.
Hello.
And it made me so happy. Not only were you guys very helpful answering that one, I was also laughing so hard at the banter and jokes that accompanied it. I also want to thank you guys for having a lower contribution amount Patreon level. I don't have the budget to pay more right now, but it is so nice that I can still contribute a little and be part of the community that you created. I definitely will up my contributions when my financial situation shifts.
nice.
That is nice. I wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate you making something so valuable and accessible, and I especially want to say thank you to all the Patreons who contribute more than I do. Because of you, I'm able to do this. Thank you, and may everyone get life coached in an episode from Brandy.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brandy.
Yep.
Yeah.
But since we're at the part of the show where we plug our Patreon, we do want to say thank you to all of you who contribute at the higher levels, allowing the dollar tier to exist. That, just gets people in so that they can experience more of the resources in the community. So special thanks to all of them. And who are the new people? We've got some new folks that joined the party.
We do. We got 3 new Therapals.
Whoop, whoop.
We got Recreated,
I like that name.
Blue Serpent.
I believe it's pronounced Blusserpent.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah, yeah,
It's French.
Yeah,
thank-
Blusserpent.
If it's then you didn't only pronounce the first half. So Blessed
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
Welcome, Blessed And then Laken Gin.
Yeah. Gin?
No, Ginn.
I go with Gin on that.
I say Gin.
Gin is G-I-N.
Say it again. Say the whole thing again.
Laken Gin. Laken.
Maybe that's also French. Maybe it's Le Cajun.
Oh,
it is.
he's
Totally.
right.
He's
right.
right. He's right.
Yeah. The C
Damn.
is silent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's how you get that.
They're all French, aren't they?
Yeah.
Man, a lot of French.
We're big in France.
We're really big in France. And we also want to welcome our newest Thera producer, Thunder, Cougar, Falcon, Scoop.
Hey,
Yes,
What a great name.
that is the best.
I love Thunder Cougar Falcon Scoop.
I just love the
One of my
list
favorite
of
Scoop
names.
names.
Yeah.
Thunder, Cougar, Falcon, Scoop.
That's just call yourself kick ass.
Yeah, I know. Just explosions.
Yeah.
Like everything about that is great. So thank you for joining our Thera producer crew, Thunder, Cougar, Falcon, Scoop. And we want to thank all of our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of our fan club, the Thera producers. Thank you, Smitty Scoop, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie Jr. Mint, Kayla Lansbury, Judy Schneider, Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, King of Student Loan Debt, Dr. Ben Dawn, Crazy Banana Scoop, Mason Miller, Carolyn Albert, Leon Kassab, Kevin Chamberlain, Malia, Richard Macy, Cindy Ash, Newstick, Lord Colin Stewart, Dirty B, Ben Stanley, Sammy Scoop, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, University Jeff, Tess Miller, Take It Evie Podcast, Paris, Myra, Lib, Darren Cunningham, Samantha Cohn, Thunder, Cougar, Falcon, Scoop. Damn, that's a good name. Yeah, I feel like we need to have an explosion sound at the end of that.
And if you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
And why wouldn't you?
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we got for this week's session. We want to thank Matt and Mattingly's Ice Cream Social Podcast, our landlords, and thanks to all of you who contributed to the show today. We really appreciate it. Remember, pod therapy isn't something to keep all to yourself. Share the episode with someone who needs it. Using social media, you can tag us at PodTherapyGuys on Twitter, PodTherapy at Facebook, or PodTherapyGuys on Instagram. And of course, you can find our extra content at patreon.com/therapy.
If you want to submit a question to the show, ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangent.
I'm Jim Jobin.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
I did as well in the sports movies as I thought I would.
You know,
I
I'm
just wasn't quick
disappointed.
on them.
Yeah, I just feel
I
like
knew a few of them, but I just wasn't quick on them.
yeah, I like sports movies
And
like
I knew-
Space Jam.
I knew the first one. I was going to do the first two clues, and I knew